Hi there, and thanks for stopping by. Are you a weekend warrior or the DIY type? Then you're in the right place. My name's Sean, and I would like to introduce you to Blue Demon's BLUEARC-140MSTI. Over the next few minutes, I would like to share with you some of the key features of this unit, then demonstrate the welding capabilities of this machine by running a few beads. This is an inverter style machine that runs on a standard 120 volt outlet. This unit is also referred to as a multi-process welder, which means it can MIG, TIG, and arc weld. The amperage range of this machine runs from 30 amps to 140 amps. When operating your welder, you will need to have a general awareness of how much time you actually spend welding. When using the MIG process, the duty cycle of this unit is 30% at 90 amps. This means out of 10 minutes, you can weld at 90 amps for approximately 3 minutes before you will need to allow your machine to cool for the remaining 7 minutes. If you overheat your machine, the BLUEARC-140 will stop welding and you'll receive a warning light. The light is located on the front of the machine, seen here. When using the arc or TIG processes, the duty cycle is still 30%, but at 70 amps. The duty cycle chart is located on the rear of the machine. Your machine comes with all cables necessary to do all these welding processes. This includes a 10-foot MIG torch. The torch is a Tweco style, so consumables should be easy to find. Also, a 13-foot electrode holder or stinger lead, a 10-foot TIG torch, a 10-foot gas hose, 10-foot grounding clamp, a dual gauge regulator flow meter, and TIG and MIG accessories. These accessories include drive rolls, tips, nozzles, collets, a collet body, tungsten, and 2 back caps. Here's a tip. You definitely want to keep all your parts together in one place. I would recommend you purchase a container for your accessories, similar to the one I have here. I personally have 2 of these. One holds MIG-related parts and the other TIG-related parts. Let's take a look at the control panel of this machine. The first knob on this unit is the wire feed and amperage control. This adjusts the wire feed speed for MIG welding and the amperage for arc and TIG welding. Next is the voltage knob. This controls the voltage when MIG welding. Now the toggle switches. On the top left, we have the spool gun switch. This enables or disables the use of a spool gun. Next on top is the gas test switch. Use this to ensure your gas is flowing correctly or to purge. Next, on the lower left, is the welding process mode switch. This switch has 3 selections: MIG, TIG, and arc. The final switch is the trigger lock, also known as 2T or 4T. Use this during the MIG process to give your trigger finger a rest. Normally we think squeeze to start, release to stop, or 2T. With the 4T selected, you squeeze and release to begin, then you squeeze and release to end. Let's stop here for just a moment before we fire up the BLUEARC-140. We need to talk about safety. The welding process can produce harmful light, fumes, sparks, and flying slag, just to name a few. You should always wear the proper clothing and safety gear while welding. This includes, but is certainly not limited to, a welding hood, welding jacket or long sleeve shirt. I would suggest cotton or wool, as synthetic materials may melt to your skin. Next, select the proper thickness of gloves and ear protection and safety glasses. One should always wear eye protection during the welding process. Here's a tip. Many welders will wear a small respirator, like the one seen here. It filters out some of the harmful things floating in the air. The other thing it does is direct the hot air you breathe down and out of the hood. If you've ever welded before, you know the lens can become so fogged you can't see anything. Now that we've covered the safety portion, let's set up our machine and see what it can do. When you receive your machine, some assembly is required. I have laid out the tools I use to assemble and adjust the machine. Here you can see a large Phillips screwdriver, 5/16 deep well socket, adjustable wrench, welding pliers, and a spray bottle filled of soapy water. Let's begin with installing the MIG gun. Here you can see the port where you insert the cable into the machine. Use the 5/16 deep well socket to loosen the retaining bolt. I lubricated the O-rings very lightly with soapy water before installing. Once you have the cable pushed all the way in, tighten the retaining bolt. Finger tight should be fine. Next, insert the trigger connection. You should hear a click when it's seated properly. Finally, install a spool of wire and feed it through the MIG gun. Remember to remove the tip before running the wire through the gun. I'll be using gasless wire for the demonstration. However, if you're using gas with solid core wire, use the soapy water to check for leaks when you attach your regulator to the tank and hose to the regulator. As you can see here, your machine can hold up to an 8-inch spool of MIG wire. Please ensure the interior cables are connected properly. Use the provided chart located on the inside panel for proper cable placement, wire feed speed, and amperage or voltage. I'll be using gasless flux core wire, so the red cable or torch lead is plugged in to the negative side and the grounding clamp is plugged into the positive side. Use the screwdriver to make these adjustments. I have some steel coupons that have been previously tack welded together. I have set my wire feed to approximately 4 and voltage to around 9. When welding, the weld puddle must be shielded from the atmosphere. Flux in the core of the wire provides that coverage. Because of the flux, you will need to weld using the pull technique. However, when you use gas, you can use the push or pull technique as the gas provides the coverage for the weld puddle. For a more comprehensive explanation on the MIG welding process, head on over to YouTube. As you can see, the BLUEARC did a great job. Next, let's set up the BLUEARC-140 for arc welding. Once again, make sure the cables are connected properly by using the chart on the inside panel. The location of the interior cables will depend on the electrode you're using. For this demonstration, I'll be using 3/32 E7018. The electrode requires DC EP or DC electrode positive. I'll open up the side panel to check my chart and cable placement. Once again, I have some steel coupons that have been previously tack welded together, and the BLUEARC-140's amperage is set to approximately 8. Here are a few helpful tips for any weekend warrior or DIY type. When welding, you want to make the best weld you can, so you want to get as comfortable as you can. It will be well worth it if you can find something to rest your hand or arm against to make your task a little easier. For example, attach a C-clamp to your part or welding table to brace yourself. Next, make a few dry runs. This will ensure you can complete your weld and nothing is in your way. And lastly, hold a tight arc. This is the distance between the metal and the electrode or tungsten. Whether you're arc or TIG welding, holding a tight arc will increase your chances of creating a high quality weld. Once again, the BLUEARC-140 did a great job. Last but not least, we are ready for the TIG process. First, I will need to change out the cable for the TIG torch. Then I will need to ensure the interior cables are connected correctly according to the chart. DC TIG welding is typically done using DCEN or DC electrode negative. Also, if you've been MIG welding with gas, you should not use the same gas for MIG and TIG welding. TIG welding typically uses argon or an argon-helium mix. Now that the machine is set up and our argon is on, let's discuss the arc initiation process. The BLUEARC-140 is a lift-start TIG machine. To initiate the arc, you will need to touch the tungsten to the workpiece, then lift it. I have found the best way to do this is to rest the cup on the workpiece, then rock the torch forward, touching the tungsten to the steel. Pause for a moment, then rock the torch back. This is somewhat difficult for the first couple of attempts, but you'll be a pro after a few hours of practice. Once again, I have some steel coupons that have been previously tack welded together. When TIG welding, it's extremely important to keep a tight arc. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make when learning to TIG weld. A few more tips on TIG welding are: keep your metal clean as possible. You will want to clean all the oils, paints, rust, etc. off of steel before welding it. Next, don't extend your tungsten out too far. 1/4 of an inch or less stick out is a great place to start. Once again, the BLUEARC-140 did a great job. For more helpful tips on the TIG welding process, head on over to YouTube. Let me recap some of the features of this machine. This is a MIG-TIG arc welder. It will do lift-start TIG. It comes with a MIG cable, TIG cable, electrode holder, and accessories needed for these processes. It includes a gas hose, regulator, flow meter, and all cables are quick connect style. When choosing your next or first welder, please remember Blue Demon's BLUEARC-140MSTI. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Video Shopping Network, an Amazon affiliate. To see this product on Amazon, click the link in the video description below. You'll be able to see current pricing, product reviews, and any special deals. Desktop users should see the Amazon quick link below the video. Mobile users will need to click the little down arrow below the video first.